Next part of our discussion is the treatment. So you grab your writing materials as we will be answering the following questions that follows. So don't worry because it will just be a multiple type of question. So let's begin. The individuals who will participate in the experiment is called letter A, treatment group, letter B, control group, or letter C, study size. 5 seconds to answer. Okay, so the answer for this statement is study size. So, for example, you have 57 grade 9 students. That will be the total population of the grade 9. So, you will do random sampling to get 20 students with the same characteristics that will be useful in your study. So, that 20 students will be known as the size of your study. Next statement. They do not receive a treatment, a standard treatment whose effect is already known, or a placebo. A. Treatment group. B. Control group. C. Study size. 5 seconds. Next, let us proceed to the other question. They receive the treatment whose effect the researcher is interested in. Letter A. Control group. Letter B, study size, or letter C, treatment group. 5 seconds as well. Okay, so let's go back to the previous slide. The answer for this is control group. As for the next slide, the answer is letter C, treatment group. So what is the difference between control group and treatment group? So if we have 20 samples as your study size, you will be divided this into two. And you will be categorizing these two groups as two control group and the treatment group. The control group are the group which will not be receiving any kind of treatment, while the treatment group will be receiving the effect the researcher is interested in. Alright? So say for example, your research talks about the effective strategy in solving math problems. So 10 students will be receiving the innovative strategy in order for them to solve math problems easily, while the other 10 students will not be receiving that kind of treatment. So that is for the treatment. Next, we have the graphs. So the graphs will be the visual representation of your data in a research. So there are different types of graph, and I will be flashing the different pictures of it, and you will be identifying what type of graph the picture shows. Let's start. So what type of graph? This is a bar graph. So a bar graph, as you can see, is represented in rectangular bars to show if there is an increase or decrease in your data and for you to have an easy analysis of your data. All right? And in addition, a bar graph is best used for comparing data quickly and easily. Next slide. What type of graph? This is an example of pie graph. When we say pie graph, this is best used in showing percentages. So you are showing a part of a whole. And lastly, This type of graph is known as the line graph. So a line graph is best used for looking at changes over time. A good example of this is the COVID-19 cases presented in 24 Horas, wherein they give us the trends on how many COVID-19 patients per day is being recorded, and to show us if there is a decrease in COVID-19 cases or an increase. So those are the different types of graph. Okay, so let's identify the parts of your graph. For the vertical line, that will be your y-axis. As for the horizontal line, that will be your x-axis. Now, where will you put the independent and the dependent variable? As for the independent variable, it should be in your x-axis. As for the dependent variable, this will be on the y-axis. So remember that if you are going to do a graph, do not forget to write the title of your graph and the title of your x and y axis. Now let's have another activity. This time you will be interpreting and analyzing the graph on the next slide. So I will give you time to analyze and interpret the FB ads in my FB timeline. So you may take a screenshot of this. You may take a screenshot of this graph, and then later on in your Google form, you will be answering or giving me the analysis and interpretation of this graph. So let's proceed to the questions. So what type of data is presented? Is it quali or quanti? 5 seconds. Okay, so the data presented in our graph is quantitative method. Next, the independent variable is Shop's FB ads or frequency of appearance. 5 seconds. Okay, very good. So the independent variable is Shop's FB ads. So that's the end of our online Kamustahan this morning. If you have questions and clarification, you may now raise it.